welcome to Introduction to Formal Logic at the University of South Carolina, Aiken, Fall 2022 edition. My name is Tom Burris, and I will be your instructor for this course. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go over the syllabus, explain the basic parameters of the course, and how to navigate some things in Blackboard. Let's get into it. So here we are in Blackboard. There's a couple things I want to go ahead and point out, and I'll swing back around to the syllabus as the final thing, because that'll be the next thing that I move on to. One, the homepage here, you'll see this announcements tab, and as things are published throughout the semester, they'll show up here in the announcements. And even if you don't see anything here, like, oh, nothing's been posted today, if you click on this more announcements thing here, it'll show anything that I have ever published to the class. So if you're coming in here and you're thinking like, what are we supposed to do again? What's going on? What just happened? Click on more announcements. Now, right now, there's nothing here at the time of me making this because I haven't made an announcement yet, but that will happen in a couple of blocks throughout the semester. Here's some other items that you've got over here in Blackboard. There's this About Your Instructor tab that's got me and this preposterous picture of me. There is my email, there's the phone number to my office, and that is my office right there, HNSS C4 in the C hallway with all the historians and poli-sci people. Also in here, you've got really the most two important items for the course are the Course Content tab, and if you click on that, that will bring up all the stuff that you'll need all semester long. Right now, a lot of these titles aren't going to make sense. The most important thing is really going to be these YouTube lectures, which will include stuff like what I'm doing here right now. And the other tab that's going to be important to you is going to be the Assignments tab and all the quizzes that you do throughout the semester, of which there will be 10, and those are the only graded items, will be found here. Now, right now, only the first one is there, and it's not ready to launch yet, but that will be happening a little bit later this week. And then also, the thing I want to focus on now is going to the syllabus. And if you click on the syllabus tab, that will take you to this little link to the syllabus. Click on that. It'll open up the syllabus. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through most of the items on the syllabus and explain them in more detail. But first of all, let's make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so a lot bigger. And so what we've got up here, we got all the course info here. We've got my contact info again here. And then here's the syllabus. So let's just go through this. First off, description of the course. This is an introduction to the most basic aspects of formal logic. This is an introduction after all. This shall include an investigation as to the nature of arguments, fallacies, and the criteria and techniques of determining validity and soundness for deductive arguments. A lot of those italicized words may mean nothing to you now, but they will as we go through the semester. Furthermore, basic propositional formulation and notation shall be introduced. We'll actually spend most of our time throughout the semester doing that, but it will be very basic and not more advanced kinds of logic because this is an introduction after all. And let me remind you that this course is asynchronous. That is, it's just going to be you watching videos. You can interact with me, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but in terms of the content that you do, in two waves, it's kind of going to be at your own pace watching videos. There's no designated meeting times per se. What are you going to get out of this course? Well, here are the learning outcomes and objectives. 1, you shall be able to define the following terms: argument, formal fallacy, informal fallacy, laws of logic, validity, soundness, strength, induction, deduction, abduction, propositional logic, rules of inference, rules of substitution, truth tables, truth trees, formal proof, conditional proof, indirect proof, inter alia, or there's some other things in there too. Do I expect you to do that now? No. And there will only be really one quiz that has to do with the definition of terms, and that's the first one, the very introduction to the introduction. So when I use these terms and I say be able to define them, really I mean be able to recognize what I'm talking about when I employ these terms. 2, translate deductive arguments into formal propositional language. And let me stop here for a second and show you exactly what that means right now. Here's a quick rundown on what I mean by that. If I say something like this: if today is Tuesday, then tomorrow is Wednesday. And for the sake of argument, let's just assume that's true because it is. But let's say I had something like this. What we would do in formal notation is we would convert this into formalized language. So if we've got something like this, this is what is called a compound proposition or a compound statement. It's got two parts. 2 subject verbs, basically. We got the today is Tuesday part, and we've got the tomorrow is Wednesday part. And I'm just going to arbitrarily underline Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'll make the first letters of those underlined words stand for the statements. So what that means is T equals today is Tuesday, and then I'll make W, and I'm just picking, if you're like, where are these letters coming from? I'm just picking them, and I'm just taking the first letter of the predicates and using that as a stand-in. W stands for tomorrow is Wednesday. Let's say we got this. Well, it just so happens that we have a way of representing this whole if-then thing. If you see if-then like this, there's a symbol that we use for if-then, We use an arrow that points to the right. And what you do is whatever follows if goes on the left side of that arrow, and whatever follows then goes on the right side of that arrow. So if that's the case, then if I wanted to represent today is Tuesday, then tomorrow is Wednesday, basically that would look like this. I'd have an arrow, what goes on the left side, whatever follows the word if, today is Tuesday, and whatever follows the then goes on the right side. So this right here means if today is Tuesday, then tomorrow is Wednesday. And all I did was convert this into formal notation. Now, am I expecting you to understand that fully from this little preview of what we're going to do? No. This is just a basic introduction into the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing all semester long, and also with other kinds of compound connectives. So there's if-thens, there's ands, there's ors, there's or but not and, there's if and only if, and some others. And I'll introduce those items as we go through the semester. And 3, back to the syllabus, you'll work on determining the validity of deductive arguments by the rules of inference, rules of substitution, proofs, truth trees, and truth tables. In short, validity is, does an argument work or not? It's more complicated than that, but that's my brief introduction to it now. And so something like this is invalid, or it doesn't work, like 2 + 2 = 4, therefore the sky is blue. Not valid. Now that feels wrong, but sometimes you can hear an argument or hear somebody say something and it sounds right, but there's still something off about it. And so what logic helps us to do is to figure out, does this actually work even though it seems like it doesn't? Or does this actually work even though it seems like it does? So this is why logic is a valuable tool that's helpful in math, in science, but also just in analyzing language, even things that you might see on the news. 4, we're going to work on applying laws of logic and rules of inference and substitution to one's own reasoning. This should help you think, and to help you think more clearly, and also to help you articulate your own ideas more clearly. And 5, I want you to identify types of arguments, means of inference, and extant fallacies in popular discourse. So we're going to be on the hunt for, like, where does this happen? Where does this fallacy happen? Where's there a valid argument? Where's there an invalid argument? We'll be looking at examples of those kinds of things, too. Moving on to the academic honesty policy, and I'm not going to read this in its entirety, but this is right out of the U of SC Aiken Student Handbook. There's a couple of things that I want to go over here. What constitutes academic dishonesty is cheating, lying, bribery, and plagiarism. So here's a couple of things that I want you to know. Giving or receiving unauthorized assistance or attempting to give or receive such assistance in connection with the performance of any academic work, don't do that. Like, for example, I change my quizzes every semester, and occasionally I'll see someone just copy and paste something from a quiz from a previous semester. It's obvious. And I keep these things archived. Someone might be like, oh, number 3 looks like this from quiz 5. And I'll go, yeah, that's in fall 2017, or whatever it is. So don't do that. Don't get unauthorized aid. Unauthorized use of materials shouldn't really be a problem here. Item number 2. Unauthorized use of portable electronic devices, that's not a problem here. Google is your friend for this class, and I'll actually try and help provide you with other online resources to help you out. Access to the contents of any test or examination, or the purchase, sale, or theft of any test or examination prior to its administration. You break into my office and you steal quiz 10. Don't do that. That's academic dishonesty. Using someone else's work. Granted, I will let you work in conjunction on some things too if you have compatriots in the class. In fact, I will have a domain in Discord where you'll be able to work together if you so desire, or create like a study group or something like that, and there's a space for you to do that. Intentional misleading of any person in connection with any academic work, including the scheduling, completion, performance, or submission of any such work. So lying to me about why you couldn't do something or why something wasn't working, that would be academic dishonesty. Offering or giving any favor or thing of value for the purposes of influencing improperly a grade. So it looks like you're going to make an F and you're like, but here's money. Please give me a good grade. No. Conduct intended to interfere with an instructor's ability to evaluate accurately a student's competency or performance in an academic program. So you do something that's intended to mess up my life in order to make me unable to grade your stuff. Anything where you do anything of these kinds of things, you can get a 0 for the assignment, and you could also end up failing the class. So avoid course parameters. Let's get into this. For the online version of this class, and I've done a couple of online versions of this class before, but this time I'm kind of building it again from the ground up. So I have some old content, I've decided to redo it. And so this structure is basically the same of what I do in the online version of this course. When I do this course in person, there's 10 quizzes spread throughout the semester. Online, I'm a little less rigorous in how often the stuff has to be done. And basically it's going to work this way. There are only 10 quizzes, period. There are no other assignments. There's no final exam. There's no papers. There's nothing like that. And these are itemized under grading components and weights. And 2 of them are quizzes that you'll do in Blackboard that are like application quizzes that are like multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. And 8 of them are documents where you'll do the following. And these will be PDFs on Blackboard. You're going to do one of two things. And this is one of the absolutely necessary components for this course. And I'll probably have a follow-up video where I explain how to do this more. You will either A, print out these materials, complete the quizzes, scan them. You can do this with your phone. There's a couple of apps that are great for this, like Adobe Scan. Then after you scan it, you'll collate it. And by that, I mean, rather than say a quiz is 10 pages, rather than send me like 10 image files or something like that. And let me go ahead and say that. No JPEGs, no GIFs, and I'm calling it GIF. None of that. Everything will be turned in as a PDF that is collated. By collated, I mean it's going to be a document of multiple pages. And I'll show you how to do that too in a later video as well. When we get to the quiz 2 will be the first time you have to do that. So you can either do it that way, print it out, fill it out, scan it, collate it, and turn it into Blackboard. Or instead, you could download it to your computer or whatever device you want to use a PDF editor where instead of printing it out and writing things down, you just type things in and then submit it in Blackboard. So you're going to have to do one of those two things or a combination of those things. Now, everything is in two waves that I'm going to talk about here, but let me go ahead and say this. In order to be successful in these quizzes, it's going to be the student's responsibility to read the relevant portions of the textbook, watch the video lectures on formal logic, that will be videos that are constructed kind of like this one, and to do the practice problems from the text. You're going to have to do that. And I'm going to try and provide you with means where you can come to me. I'll have I've got my Discord server where we can meet up and do some video stuff, like one-on-one or in groups when I'm available to do so, or you can actually meet up on your own and work together as well. And I'll have a space where you can do that on Discord. Of course, you can do that in person as well. And so the way this course is going to work is there are two waves of assignments. There's quizzes 1 through 5, and there's quizzes 6 through 10. The first 5 quizzes, which everything's going to come out in segments throughout the semester as I push out content. But basically, the first 5 quizzes are all due end of day, October 12th. Like, so when the clock strikes midnight, that's when they're all due. And so you can, like, when quiz 1 will be available by the end of this week, as of this video being released. But you don't have to turn it in until October 12th. Now, I recommend getting it in as soon as you can do it, but nothing of Wave 1 is going to be due until the 12th of October, which also gives you the freedom to work on it kind of at your own pace. But that being said, be warned that if you try and hold off, especially in a course like this, it's kind of like a foreign language course or a math course, in that if you hold off, you're going to be doing a lot at the last minute, and it's going to feel unbearable, so don't do that. But you can work on things, and that gives you time to ask questions, and I think have a little less pressure if you spread it out yourself. So Wave 1, again, due October 12th. That's a Wednesday. And it is the last day of classes before fall break. And then Wave 2 is due, that's quizzes 6 through 10, is due December 7th. That's right in the middle of the final exam period. Again, there is no final exam for this class, but those last batch of assignments are due December 7th. So make sure all those 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are in by December 7th, that day of infamy. Of course, I recommend go ahead and, like, quiz 6 you probably want to go ahead and start working on in late October after fall break. That's my recommendation. Which is why this says it would be in the student's best interest to not wait until these particular dates to do all of these assignments. So you're at liberty to engage with the assignments in the manner of your choosing, so long as the relevant assignments are completed by the respective due dates above. But that also gives you time to soak in the content, and then if you have questions, to reach out to me with questions, because especially since this is an online class, it can be harder in some ways because we don't have that direct interaction in the same kind of way. That being said, no late assignments will be accepted. So Wave 1, it's October 13th. It's late if it's not in. Now, granted, of course, if there are extenuating circumstances, you got something going on, please reach out to me. And also reach out to me sooner rather than later. Please don't come to me on the 8th of December and say, oh, here's why I didn't turn quiz 1 in back in October. Let me know as soon as possible what's going on, and I want to work with you because I want to help you be successful. And also, it says here, I'll post what the recommended order is for how to complete this assignment. So I will walk you through. It's not just, okay, here's 5 assignments, good luck. It's, here's the 5 assignments, and I'll release them at certain times throughout the semester. The first wave will be due by October 12th, and the second wave will be due by December 7th, but I'll have like a progression order and some recommendations on what to do. The text for the class is Howard Pospisil's Introduction to Logic, Propositional Logic, and this book is old, but it's also cheap. So if I used a logic book that I would like to use, it's like $200, which I find to be absolutely preposterous. This one's still more expensive than I'd like it to be, frankly. And sometimes it's not good, but I think it's the best compromise of being decent with the instruction that it has and the problems that I want to use out of here, but also being relatively inexpensive. And we'll be using stuff in the book by the time we get to quiz 2. Quiz 1 is going to be mostly my own content. Grading components and weights. Now, I've mentioned this before already. This class, it is just 10 quizzes, each worth 10%. And so quizzes will consist of, typically 6 to 8 of them will consist of proofs, truth trees, and truth table, for which it will be the responsibility of the student to complete, again, by downloading and doing it in a PDF editor or filling out on your own. Sometimes there'll be multiple choice, fill in the blank, and short answer questions. Like quiz 1 will be that way, and the first quiz of wave 2 will be like that. And also let me say here, there will be bonus points that will be completely inherent in the quizzes. So this is not true of all of them, but it will be true of most of them. So like quiz 2 will have 13 questions on it, each worth 10%. And so you can make a max of 130 out of 100 on, say, quiz 2. So let's say this happens. What that means is that ends up being some buffering for any mistakes that you make throughout the semester. So let's say you take quiz 1 and you make a 70, and you take quiz 2 and you make 130. You get all 13 questions right. What that means is your average is actually a 100. So you have an A average. Even though you made a C on the first one, you made like an A+++ on the second one. And you could look at that as bonus questions, but I'm not looking to make the bonus questions like super challenge questions. So they're not like, oh, this is hard mode. You only get the bonus if you can answer this really difficult question. They're just happen to be 13 questions instead of 10. And I think that gives you some room to make mistakes and to learn without being severely penalized for it. Because if it was just a 10 question quiz on doing these proofs and stuff, you miss 4, you're done. you have a D, even though you're doing most of the work correct. So this gives you some room. You can make the same amount of mistakes. You get 4 wrong and have an A instead. And I think that's helpful. So keep that in mind. And so what that means is, too, you might find yourself at the end of the semester, by the time you get to quiz 9 and 10, you already have 100 average, and you don't even need to do quiz 9 and 10. In fact, that's happened before. It's very possible, if you do well early on in this course, to not have to do the stuff at the end. And basically, around Thanksgiving time, you don't have to do anything. You're done. And there's not in-person attendance for this course, so like once you get the grade you need, you're good to go as far as I'm concerned. Grading scale, I don't think there's anything particularly remarkable here. 90 to 100 is an A. Anything on the 8s and up is a plus. So like 88 to an 89 is a B+, 80 to an 87 is a B, and so on. You can see it here for yourself. And I'll go ahead and say this, I always round up. So let's say you have a 59.00000001. You have a 60. You pass with a D. Barely, but you did it. That's the way that I do it. Now, I will only round up to the nearest whole number, so I won't skip a couple of points. So if you had a 58.000001, that's going up to a 59. That would still be an F. So keep that in mind. But again, with those bonus points, it is very, very possible to do well in this class. In fact, the majority of my students have A's at the end of the semester. The majority of them do. But especially if you consign yourself to doing this work at the beginning, you will be successful in this course. And I'm telling you now, I'm a resource for you. So reach out to me. You need help with something, get together with me. We'll work on it together. Disability policy. If you have a physical, psychological, and or learning disability, which might affect your performance in this class, let the Office of Disability Services know as soon as possible and get that paperwork to me as soon as possible so I can do whatever I can to accommodate you. And even if you don't have something officially from the Office of Disability Services, that's an accommodation that you would like to request, please put that in to me as well, because I even know the whole process of being diagnosed with certain things and then getting proper documentation for certain things and getting the proper paperwork for certain things is itself an arduous process. So if you're looking for an accommodation that's not official, just ask. The worst I can say is no, but please ask anyway, and I would like to do whatever I can to accommodate you. Makeup assignments. Everything's for this class. Again, Wave 1, October 12th. Wave 2, December 7th. Let's say you were getting ready to turn things in and your computer gets stolen or something like that. Let me know. We'll work it out. But like I said, sooner rather than later, even with those contingencies, I would appreciate that so I can make sure to work with you to get in what you need to get in. Then these are our fall 2022 COVID and potentially other debilitating virus policies for this semester. That's why these are in place. Right now, this is an online class, so a lot of this stuff doesn't matter. So I'm just going to highlight that it's here because this should be in all your other classes, because this comes from the provost. So face coverings, when you are on campus, they're not officially they do not need to officially be worn. It's optional, but I think it's recommended, especially if we meet one-on-one in my office in an enclosed space. That being said, also if you test positive for COVID-19, even though this is an online class, just if you have any kind of interactions in person or really anywhere else, let the COVID coordinators at USC Aiken know and follow these guidelines. Okay, again, this is an online class, so this probably won't come up that much, but just in case it does, here's this. All right, stay home for 5 days, whether you've been vaccinated or not. If you got a fever, stay home even more. If you don't have any symptoms after 5 days, then you can leave and keep wearing a mask for another 5 days. Again, that's not my policy. That's the policy of UFC Aiken right now. And even though this is an online course, what could happen, let's say you do get something and you're at home and you're like, I can't do the work. I'm sick. I can't do this right now. Let me know. I will work with you. You're still responsible for the course material covered, but I will work with you to accommodate you in any way that I need to. Again, I've had COVID before myself, and it was rough. It was about 2 weeks of just being in bed and feeling absolutely miserable and coughing all the time. So it was hard to get anything done during that time, so I completely understand that. And again, if something happens to you, let me know. And there's this final addendum in here that the university could update this policy in the future. So this is tentative and contingent on factors that exist, at least at the time of me making this in August 2022. Also, this is true in general of all your courses, but in particular for this online course, you got to have regular access to a computer with a video camera and microphone for any interaction that we could have online in the event that the course mode of instruction changes due to faculty illness or university policy. That's not just in case you have to stay at home. That's in case, like, let's say something happens to me and another professor has to take over this course. That's why this is in place. So just be prepared to have those things so that you can switch up if you need to. You got to be able to use Blackboard. That is absolutely imperative for this course. And you got to have internet access with access to notifications for the class and the ability to complete the assignments. And also here, good advice, check your email and Blackboard announcements every day so you don't miss something. And I've seen this happen in the past. Oh, I didn't know this was due today. I had a reminder go out every day. So I try to do that too. So you'll see like a countdown when as we get closer to October 12th and December 7th, like, hey, stuff's due in a couple days. Hey, stuff's due in a couple days. Hey, stuff's due tomorrow. Hey, stuff's due today. So make sure you're checking that all the time. And then finally, mode of instruction. The University of South Carolina Aiken reserves the right to change, adjust, or cancel any campus operation, including but not limited to mode of instruction, delivery of services, or use of campus facilities whenever the campus administration determines in its sole discretion that circumstances warrant the operational change. So this is just to say things could happen where everything that I've just said about the parameters of this course has to change. Probably won't happen, but this is just like an in case something disastrous happens, the university has the right to change things up, alter the syllabus. Like, let's say I get injured, I'm in the hospital, and they have to have someone else come in and completely reshape the course. They have the right to do that, just so you know that. Here, this almost never happens, but here it is. Okay, office hours. Now, my office is, again, in HNSS C4, which is in the C hallway. If you see me in there, feel free to knock on the door. If the door is open, or you see me on campus, you want to talk to me real quick, let's do it. Or you want to arrange an appointment where, hey, can I talk to you for a couple minutes on campus? Totally, let's do that. But for the most part, I'm going to default to Zoom if that's what you use. And then also, again, I have this Discord server, which I'll show you a little bit of here in a moment. I think that's the easiest way to get in contact. I like Blackboard for my ability to host content, but I think Discord makes communication easier. I can screen share, we can do video conferencing, you can just write me messages there, you can post things for the class to see if you want to. I think it's just an easier mode of communication. Blackboard on a phone is just downright terrible. If you want to do stuff on your phone and communicate with me, this is really the best way to do so. Also, this avoids email. I don't know if you have this problem too. Sometimes I get just so many emails about every little jot and tittle of everything going on at the university. Oh, the baseball team had a cookout, with no disrespect to the baseball team there, or whatever it is. You get things from just everybody. The Penland's water is back on again. All these emails. So sometimes a student might send me an email about something, and I don't see it because it's been buried amongst so many other emails. But if you reach out to me on Discord, I'm not getting other fluff notifications there from all kinds of random things. It's just students reaching out to me on there. So Discord is really the best way to get in touch with me. So if you want to email me to either set up an appointment where we meet in person, or you want to conference in Zoom, because that's what you have, we can totally do that. But right here, this link, this Discord link, this is our Discord server. I'm going to go ahead and show you this right now to see what it kind of looks like and help you navigate that. So this is my University of South Carolina Aiken Discord server for all my philosophy and religion classes, and you've got stuff here. So first of all, this welcome and rules page explains the rules of using this. You'll see some announcements on here. Sometimes I'll post some resources. Here's just general information stuff that, look, that's interesting, that people can just post and ask me questions here. There's a place where you can do memes and off-topic stuff and just ask me general philosophy and religion questions. But particular to this class is this right here. So fall 2022, Phil 10, right now there's nothing here. This is where you can ask me anything. You can also send me direct messages as well if you want to keep that private instead. And also we have this right here, this thing that says the Logic Lounge. If I click on that, it'll open up video conferencing, which this is where you can talk with me, and I can make this a private channel too, where it's just you and me talking through video conferencing here instead of using Zoom. But also this is something I'm willing to permit students, just ask me and I'll give you permission to start up like a study group in here where some of you might want to get together and conference with one another and work together on things and study some things. And you can do that here without having to get together necessarily in person. But like I said, I like Blackboard for hosting content better. It's really hard to like upload documents and stuff into Discord. So I like Blackboard as like a library, but I like Discord as a communication apparatus. And I can also see what video games students are playing. It's great. And back to the syllabus, what we've got here are description of the two waves. Because wave 1's a little bit more spread out. That's why it looks like it has more stuff. Wave 2 actually has as much stuff. Just with wave 1, we're taking our time introducing stuff because I don't want to jump right in too fast. And this is the content that you can look forward to that we're going to be doing. Probably most of these words don't mean anything to you right now, but they will after you've gone through them. And then after that, remember we used that arrow symbol earlier to mean if-then. Here's basically every symbol that we're going to use this semester. So what I've got here in the top ones are the main ones that we're going to use, their technical name, and then kind of what they mean in English. And underneath that, I have other symbols, of which like the first 3 we are going to use in this class a little bit more rarely than the first bunch here. And then pretty much these other ones towards the bottom. The further towards the bottom it is, the more likely we're never going to see it ever. But if you Google stuff about logic on the internet, you'll probably see these symbols. And so at least you know what they are here. And I can explain what they mean if you have questions about that. You look on something online, you're like, what is this? I can unpack that for you. But this is Introduction to Formal Logic, not Advanced Formal Logic. So it's there for your reference. And also, if you're using a PDF editor to do your quizzes and you're like, I don't know how to make that symbol, you can just copy and paste right here from the syllabus. Okay, something has an arrow in it, you copy that arrow. All right, bam, you're good to go. So that about wraps it up for this video as an introduction to the basics of the course, the syllabus, some stuff on Blackboard and Discord. The one thing I want to say is thank you for bearing with me this long in this video. I used to make for this class, and this is part of the reason why I'm restructuring this class. When I first did this class online, I would make the videos about as long as lectures, and what I would see was I could see that people would like watch the first 10 minutes and then usually not watch later in the video, and then people would have questions about, well, how do I do this thing? Because they didn't make it to that part of the video. So typically from here, the videos are going to be much shorter. I'm going to try and make like little like 15-minute videos, 15-minute video, 15-minute video. They might be like a series of things on a particular subject rather than making like a 2-hour long video with parts. It just makes it more digestible that way. So very soon you'll see an announcement wave that says, here's the first thing of things you need to do to accomplish quiz 1. Look out for that. You'll see it probably over the weekend, no later than this coming Monday, which would be the 22nd. You'll see stuff for quiz 1 and how to complete that. So look out for that. If you have any questions, remember you can reach out to me at thomasb@usca.edu. Also reach out to me on Discord. You all have the invitation link. It's in the syllabus. You need any help with anything at all, reach out to me, and I look forward to working with you this semester. Have a good one.